Hey, did you know that it was natural for you to walk by faith? It was natural for you to believe God. And you're saying, well, wait a minute, I'm struggling. So if it's natural, then how is that so? I agree, and I want to explain it to you. So in the beginning, Adam naturally walked by faith. He just naturally believed whatever God said until he disobeyed. And immediately you read that he became ashamed. What happened? Because at first the Bible says he was naked and unashamed. And after disobeying, they became ashamed and hid themselves. What happened is they switched from naturally walking by faith and just believing God. They didn't fast, they didn't pray, they just believed God. But they switched to a carnal system. See, that word carnal means to live by the senses. What you can see, what you can touch, taste, and feel. And then you start to live by logic. That doesn't make sense. Why? Because of your senses. Now their senses was awoken. They begin to live by that. See, it's the reason why in Hebrews 11, verse 7, it says, without faith, it's impossible to please God because it was your natural allotment to just trust God. It's the reason why 2 Corinthians 5 and 7 says, we walk by faith and not by sight. I take you back to that garden moment. They were walking by faith. It was natural. Then they transitioned to sight. And so because we are of Adam and we all inherited that fallen nature, so did you. You learned to live by your senses. And let me make this illustration make sense. I'll explain it this way. You and I, if we go to the fish's natural state, which is the water, if we go into the water and we go underneath it without a breathing apparatus, because it's not our natural state, we cannot exist there. So then we will either get sick and or die because we are without oxygen because it's not our natural state. Why do I tell you that illustration? Because the same thing exists in our walk, in our natural walk. When we transition to this carnal system and try to live by our senses, your senses will cause fear, doubt, worry. Those things are unnatural. He did not design us that way. So what happens when we exist in fear, doubt, and worry? It literally will make your body sick. In fact, just like that fish illustration, it will kill you. Now that should help it make more sense why God does not want that for you. It is actually your natural state to live by faith, to simply trust God at His word. That's all Adam and Eve did. They were trusting God at His word, and every provision was taken care of. Notice the very first thing that happened when they rebelled against God's law and started living by their senses, as a consequence, they also were independent, meaning that God was not their first provision to take care of them. They had to do it for themselves. So then what's my point with that? When you do not walk by faith, you are therefore independent. You are striving to take care of yourself. But when you are dependent upon God and you are experiencing His kingdom, then therefore He says, I am more than enough. I am El Shaddai. I am well able. It is my great pleasure that as long as you are seeking my kingdom and my righteousness, you believe my word, which is law, I have a duty to perform it. I just stopped by to tell you that it is not natural. It is very unnatural not to walk by faith. Now, we remember faith doesn't work in blaming. I'm giving you this history lesson so that you can switch back to your original system. What I mean is, let's not pause this morning and be blaming Adam. See, God is such a God that He knew all things. He had everything already set up. He doesn't make backup plans as He goes. He had it all set up. So this entire message is to say this: switch back to your natural state. It is very key that when you walking by faith, it is the currency to living therefore by a stress-free life. Because it's only once we get outside of faith that all that other stuff comes up. Why? Because that other stuff is unnatural. It will make you sick. It would put you in your unnatural state. If you understand that, then those other scriptures make sense. That's why he tells you that without it, you can't please him. And by pleasing him, then therefore he has an obligation to meet your faith and supply your every need, not according to what you have, but according to his riches and glory. So I want to encourage you this morning, switch back to your natural state. Simply trust God. God bless you.